And welcome to your Political Pulse. We are joined by the former mayor of Pierre, former state official, now running for the House of Representatives, Laurie Gill. Laurie, thank you so much for joining us.
You bet, my pleasure.
So you've had a long run in government, both at the city level, the state level. Why do you want to come back to the House of Representatives?
I don't know, when government gets in your blood, it's there. I have been a public servant for most of my career, and it's in my blood, as I said. I'm at the point in life, I retired from state government, I retired from local government, and I really want to still give back to the people of South Dakota, and I feel like it's the right time for me in my life. Still ready to do some more public servant work.
Well, you've got your eyes in so many different things, right? I mean, you were the mayor of Pierre. You also worked for the Department of Social Services. You also worked as the Commissioner of Human Resources. So you've seen facets of both the state government and city government. So when you look at it as a whole in South Dakota, where do you think things need to change?
Well, as you said, I've been in government as the operations side of it, so making sure that the laws or ordinances that are put in place are followed, and we're serving the citizens. I've been on the side of lobbying the legislators when I worked for state government. I have been on the side of running a state agency and providing services to the people. So all of those things are important to make things work right. And now being on the legislative side of it interests me to be able to work on the laws of this state.
You lobbied enough politicians. You said, I want to be lobbied. You're going to come lobby me.
Yeah, my turn, yes. But there are things that can be improved at all angles, and I think everybody needs to be continually working on that. When you get a new administration in, a new governor, and they're putting new things in place, I think that'll be a fun time to be a legislator, because you'll be working with a new administration to see that their objectives are fulfilled, as well as making sure that you're listening to the people in your district and you are working to get things in place or make changes that they want to see seen made changed. And so all of that together interests me.
So you led the Department of Social Services under former Governor Kristi Noem, which means you had a relationship with the current governor because he was her lieutenant governor. What can you tell us about working with those two?
Yeah, they were a very interesting combination, because that Governor Noem, knew what she wanted, and she was very interested in making sure that the freedoms of the people of South Dakota were intact. The Lieutenant Governor was from rural South Dakota and came to the table with a particular interest, and I was running the Department of Social Services, which is the largest agency, the largest budget, lots of federal dollars, so I was working with a federal administration that wasn't always in line with what we were doing here in the state. So there was a lot of making sure we were following the laws and doing things right, but yet working with the governor and the lieutenant governor to make sure that any places that we had flexibility, we were doing things the way that they were interested in doing as we were serving the people.
What do you make of her performance so far as Secretary of Homeland Security?
You know, I am in favor of what is going on in terms of immigration. I believe in immigration control, and I believe in the people that are here, that are immigrants, that they're here legally. I also believe that there should be a good process to ensure that immigrants can work through that. I believe in border control. I believe in knocking out the folks that are bringing the illegal drugs into our state. So that all of that work, I think, is valid. There's a lot that goes into that job, a lot of scrutiny coming from all over the place right now, and I think that former Governor Noem is maneuvering through that right now, but she is carrying out the work that needs to be done coming from the administration.
I got to put you in the hot seat one more time. Governor Roden, of course, he was her lieutenant governor. He stepped in. He's now, of course, governor. What do you make of that performance there?
Yeah, Governor Roden has stepped in and done a very fine job keeping things rolling. I have seen lots of good things happening, and I know that it's always difficult for a governor to come in and take over like he has. He's got good people working for him, and so Governor Roden has done everything he needed to do. Also, he's finding himself in an election, and so balancing all of that can be challenging, and more power to him as he's moving ahead.
You're seeking to represent a district that I would say has some of the least media coverage. We've got a TV station in Sioux Falls, we've got a TV station in Rapid City, and really that's how the media landscape goes. A lot of the major media is out of those two areas, so we tend to hear about the issues that affect those two areas. We hear about data centers, we hear about property taxes and the like. For middle of South Dakota, what policies do you think are priorities for people in this district?
I think right now, most people in District 24 probably are very concerned about the economy. They want a strong economy. We have lots of ag industry here. We're right in the middle of agriculture. And so I would be interested in learning about the hurdles and issues that the ag industry faces. I want the ag economy to thrive. I think individuals and families are concerned right now about how they're able to thrive as well, and so the economy is a big deal. There's lots of pieces to that. When you say economy, a lot of people are like, I don't even know what that means. Well, for individuals and families, it means, do I have the money in my pocketbook right now to be able to pay my very basic needs? Am I better off now than I was a year ago? Am I going to be better off in the future? There's a lot of pieces to that. As I said, businesses have to thrive. In order for businesses to thrive, they have to have workforce that's educated, coming to them, available, willing to work. So workforce is a big issue here. And then affordable housing for that workforce. And that has been an issue in some of our communities in District 24, is having the housing to get the workforce in, to work in the businesses, to keep everything rolling. So those are all pieces that go into that.
We tend to not see affordable housing eating up news headlines out here. Do you think, I mean, we're sitting here in the legislature as it's in session. Do you believe that issue should be addressed more?
I think it's something that needs to be talked about. If it has been satisfied in certain areas, that's great. If there's more that we can do, it needs to be on the agenda in some way. There's lots of pieces that go into that, you know, in terms of local issues that might occur, in terms of land available, developers that can make it work, make the numbers work, the price of all of the pieces that need to go in, everything that it takes to build affordable housing. All of those things come together to allow us to have the housing in communities. There has to be a willingness on the local government part to be aware of the issue and know that it's something that needs to be addressed. Businesses need to tell us what they're hearing from potential applicants, all of those things together.
You talk about the fact that it's a big ag economy here, and I would imagine it's a mix of farms and ranches, right? Especially in this part of the state, the central part of the state. My question to you is, how close do you think farmers and ranchers are paying attention to President Trump's trade agenda right now? We just saw tariffs be challenged by the Supreme Court. The president's decided he's going to push forward nonetheless, keep those in place. I think he's got 150 days until Congress would have to take action. How close do you think farmers and ranchers watch those updates out here?
There are those that follow it very closely, very astute about that. There are others that are more concerned at a more granular level, that they're able to do what they need to do. I know there are ag interest groups all around District 24 and around the state that are watching those things and passing the information down to the local level in ways that if they want to pay attention, it's there. I know that there are groups in District 24 that are very actively involved in watching what's going on. I think all of that needs to happen, and I support the groups that are watching it and getting the information down to the local level so that people can express their concerns and get it passed back up again. But there's so many, as you mentioned, so many things that go into this. There's the local level, local government, there's counties, there's the state stuff going on, and the feds. And it all together comes into the picture of what does the ag economy look like.
And do you think it is the job of state legislators to pass some of that information on to White House officials that might be trying to get a sense of how these trade negotiations are being felt here on the ground in rural states like South Dakota.
Yeah, I think there's a certain level of information that can be passed through the legislators. I also, coming from a career in state government and running state agencies, part of that is a responsibility of the agencies to make sure you have relationships with both the legislators and the people that are in the federal government that are affecting those things. And I know that the folks that are in the roles of running agencies are in communication continuously with the people they need to be talking to in DC, as well as talking to the legislators that are representing the people that are trying to do the local on-the-ground ag work.
Okay, so we got to go into this bill. This was probably, I would say, the headline-eating ag bill of the year, and this would be the lab-grown meat ban. The governor, of course, vetoed the ultimate ban, but is pushing for a 5-year moratorium. What do you make of this entire issue? Where would you fall on this issue?
Yeah, you know, I think there's a lot of pieces to this as well. As a legislator, you need to get in and you need to really examine the bill. You need to know what the unintended consequences might be and understand all that. You need to talk to the people. There are costs that are associated to things that sometimes you might not understand why a state government agency or a governor is coming at something and opposing it. But there are reasons that they're doing that, and sometimes it's how it affects the operations of the state agency. It's sometimes the cost that there's no money to pay for something. People don't see all that. So you really need to look at a subject and know all the angles. And I think all I'm going to say about that right now is that I support the farmers. I support the people that are producing the products. They need to be able to have an outlet for the products that they are either raising or growing, and there needs to be a good pipeline so that they can get the dollars that they deserve so they can thrive. And anybody that's weighing in on issues need to know that there's lots of angles and they need to understand them all.
So back to the legislator, Governor Rodin's property tax bill. This looks like it's ultimately going to be the one that sees it through. At least it's in the House of Representatives. It passed the Senate. It's really the last main, probably broad stroke property tax relief bill in the session. What do you make of that? This would allow counties to enact their own half-a-cent sales tax.
Yeah, first of all, I believe in local control. I like the fact that local governments are able to make those kinds of decisions. As mayor, I appreciated the fact when it came to discussions of sales tax and that kind of thing that we could decide what we were going to do within our city limits. Sometimes it makes sense to have broad stroke rules and laws, but I do like the local control piece of it. I also know that property tax is a very hot issue. I pay them and I don't like paying them, but we also know that property taxes fund a lot of things, and if you're taking dollars away from one side, you're going to have to come up with the dollars from somewhere.
I would imagine as a former mayor, you know very well how those taxes play a role in service.
Absolutely, and people that complain about taxes also are some of the first people to call when their services are reduced, and so you have to educate people so they know that when you take a tax away, you are going to either lose services or you have to find the dollars from somewhere else. So more kudos to the people that have been out there looking for options that might make sense and are relevant today. I do like the fact that some decisions can be made at the local level.
Okay, let's end on a fun note. You were the mayor of the capital of South Dakota. What was that like? And can you share with us a story of being the mayor of a capital that just to you was paramount to the fact that you were the mayor of a capital?
Yeah, so I went to lots of different meetings and groups around the nation, regional meetings and things like that, where we're sitting with mayors of capital cities of huge, I mean, cities that have way more population than our entire state has. And it's funny and interesting to me that we have some of the same issues.
What is unique about being the mayor of the capital?
Being the mayor of the capital is that we have a lot of, here's one, we have a lot of state property on our tax rolls, and that's a kind of a hot point. they're not paying taxes, they're tax exempt, and in some of the other states, the capital complexes take up a lot of area. So that's something
It's a lot of dead weight for a city that needs services and needs that property tax revenue.
And when you are in a town of 14,000 people and you have a lot of state property, you have to learn how to maneuver that. But, you know, Pierre is the second smallest state capital in the nation. And so
I thought we were the number one. I honestly thought it was number one. What is smaller than Pierre?
I think, and there might be a viewer that can prove me wrong, but it used to be Montpelier, Vermont, was smaller. And so with all that,
I think the whole state of Vermont's smaller than the city of Pierre.
Yeah. But there's a lot of commonalities, and you know, we get a lot of notoriety in Pierre for being the capital, and so a lot of legislators come to town and they look around. I had legislators when I was a mayor say, you know what, either good job on snow removal, or why don't you have a Hy-Vee? We have a Hy-Vee. Or they would weigh in on some of the things that we have going on, but at the end of the day, it was an honor and a pleasure to be the mayor of the capital. I
gotta end here. What was the most interesting person you saw come through this town? We are the second smallest capital. We're just gonna defer to your numbers, but I'm sure you've seen some pretty interesting people come through here.
Yeah, there were a few celebrities that came through. I was eating in a restaurant one day, and I had my waitress say to me, "Did you know the band Nitty Gritty Dirt Band is sitting right over there?" And so I went running right over and introduced myself, and then they wanted to take pictures, and I loved it when things like that happened, where I could welcome people that were on their way through for one reason or the other.
Very cool. Well, Laurie Gill, we will give you a chance to just finish on what you think we haven't covered.
Yeah, I would just say I'm looking forward to the opportunity to serve the people of District 24. We have 5 counties out here in rural America, and we matter. We make a difference. We matter out here in South Dakota, and be my pleasure to serve.
All right, well, that will do it for your Political Pulse right here from the Capitol.
Yes.
All right, thank you.